Let's switch gears just a little bit and let's talk about infrastructure needs in the second district, or other specific issues to the second district that you feel are things that maybe you're working on or need to work on.
Right. Well, infrastructure is a big one. We have a lot of concrete streets in the second district, and you know, northern Indiana winters aren't good to concrete, especially when they're 25, 30, 40 years old. So that's something that's always been a focus of mine, and I continue to work on that. It's a resource issue, but all you can do is just keep plugging away at it. Related to that is, I think, pedestrian infrastructure. For instance, Coldwater Road was, I think, the last big road project that the city did with the widening of Coldwater Road, which would have been, oh gosh, I don't know, 7, 8 years ago. It was before I was on council, that didn't have sidewalks as part of the project. And I get complaints all the time, and I see things that are just awful. People in wheelchairs on the street, for instance, because there's nowhere else for them to go, and they have to get from point A to point B along Coldwater. I mean, there's a high school there, for heaven's sakes, you know. So we really need to deal with those kinds of sort of legacy problems. Now when the city, well, for instance, when the city did St. Joe Center Road in the second district, there's sidewalks on both sides of the street. That's more of our standard now, but it wasn't until just recently. So we have to deal with that, that kind of thing. And again, I hear people say, well, that's just silly. I don't see people walking there. And I want to say, well, first of all, I do. And second of all, they don't walk there because it's unsafe. And so if you really, you know, where we put up sidewalks, we put up a sidewalk along Parnell. Lots of people use that sidewalk. And there weren't as many people walking before because they couldn't. So it's kind of a chicken and egg thing. So the infrastructure is a big deal. General constituent service issues, you know, working with neighbors during development projects, you know, that's something that's just an ongoing role, I think, of the district council person, and it's one that I like to be involved in, to try and make sure that, again, we have a balance between what the business community is needing and what the people who live nearby need. So that's another one. And then many of the rest of the issues are citywide issues that affect all neighborhoods or most neighborhoods in the community.
If I'm thinking correctly, Parkview is in
the second
district.
Mm-hmm.
And there was a recent announcement about some developments there. There's just been a lot of concern about with them building the regional facility out north. That, I know you were also very instrumental in helping maybe to pull some of that together.
Right. The you know, I lived on the south side of town, just a few blocks away from the old Lutheran hospital. In the early 80s, and I remember when Lutheran announced they're moving, and I, you know, there's a lovely park there now, but not much else. So we were very concerned in the neighborhood about what's going to happen with Parkview when they made their announcement about moving what they call their tertiary, their most in-depth types of services out to what was then Parkview North and now is Parkview Regional Medical Center. And so we began working with the folks at Parkview. And this was actually something that I credit Councilman Tom Smith for coming up with this idea of having what's been called the Parkview Select Committee. Really through the auspices of the Northeast Area Partnership. David Coley is one of the Northeast Area Partnership chairs, and he chairs our committee. And in fact, actually through this process, Parkview has put him on their board, so they have even more community kind of tie-in. So we've been working with them, and as they've gone through their process, which will result in 125-bed hospital at least, and it may end up being a little bit bigger, which is a big hospital. If you go to the smaller towns in the area, those are 50-bed hospitals typically. So it's still a significant medical presence, a full ER, outpatient radiology services, so x-rays and those kinds of things. Well, they'll still deliver babies at Parkview, Randalia. So there's still going to be an awful lot of things going on, but there will be vacant real estate because right now it's about, I think, a 500-bed hospital or something. So Parkview has been really committed to helping make sure that there continues to be vibrant economic activity on that campus. So most recently, they had spearheaded an effort with Fort Wayne Community Schools, Ivy Tech, I'll probably leave somebody out, St. Francis, Trine, thank you, Huntington, and I think there's somebody else, several private universities, in addition to then Ivy Tech and Fort Community Schools, to create sort of an education center that has, I think, the opportunity to grow into some research types of things as well, but focused on healthcare education, biomedical types of things. So, I don't have any idea how this is all going to play out. I don't think anybody really does. But it will, in the short term, there'll be hundreds of students on that campus, which is great if you're the Subway shop down the street or whatever, and it's good for real estate values in the residential areas that surround it and so forth. So those are the kinds of things that Parkview's been working on. A lot of people ask about the VA. That's a very logical partnership, and it's one that, frankly, everybody is supportive of moving forward, including, I believe, the VA people themselves. It's just a matter of how do we make that happen, and they've been working the Washington channels on all that to make that happen. So that would be very exciting. It's certainly not a done deal, but everybody on board, is on board. Our member of Congress and our senators and the mayor, and everybody thinks it would be a great idea. Parkview has been extremely supportive, and like I said, the local VA people like the idea as well.